I figured to do a little video today on stihl gearbox attachments for your trimmers. How to change them. It's pretty simple. All you should need, the only tool you should need for that procedure is a T27 Torx wrench. Should come with most of your equipment. It's a pretty simple procedure. I've got the tiller and the pole pruner saw attachment for mine. They make a series of attachments for these things. I mean, you've got a scythe, hedge trimmers, edgers. I mean, you've got plenty of stuff. It makes the weed eater more versatile, so you basically have one weed eater, one motor, and you can got many different attachments to do all kinds of jobs with them. But it's a really handy, really nice thing to have. We'll look at the tiller today. It's pretty simple to change it on it. The tiller is a single stage worm gear drive. I believe it has a 44:1 ratio. Worm gear is basically you've got the worm, which looks like a screw. It's on the end of the input shaft, and it'll turn against the worm wheel. And the worm wheel is in turn attached to the axles, which is what drives the cultivator. And it's a pretty simple deal. We'll go on how to change these. Now, one big thing you want to be sure of before you ever buy an attachment is you want to be sure your weed eater will accept these attachments. Like, you want to be sure the weed eater is solid shaft drive. You don't want a cable drive shaft weed eater. Now, I'm not going to say they wouldn't run it, but it's putting a lot of stress on that drive cable, that flex cable, and the clutch. Clutches on the cable drive are usually not as heavy duty as shaft drive clutches. But you want to be sure your weed eater will accept it. Like, this is a 131, so 1.9 horsepower. I know it's more than enough power to run anything here. But the FS91, FS90, FS110, FS111, FS130, and 131, the FS250, I mean, all that should be able to run these attachments. Now, there's more models than that, but as long as it's a solid shaft drive, should accept them. But you want to be sure your weed eater will take these attachments. Now, the first thing we want to do is you'll find the screw here on the weed eater head. Now, the older weed eaters used to have two, one on each side, but the newer ones, the 91s, 111s, 131s, they've just got the single screws. You'll just turn that counterclockwise just enough to where it'll rotate and just pull it off the end of the shaft. Now, changing to the tiller, you want to get the guard, and this guard you'll see has your safety warning sticker at the bottom, and you want it to be upright toward the operator where you can run it, so it will turn this way, and you'll just slip it up over the shaft out of the way. And next thing, you'll take the tiller, and something I like to do before changing over to another attachment, it's good practice to do it, keeps it good and clean. Just take a rag, and if you need cleaner, clean it, or a good dry rag, and just wipe off any excess dirt or grease or material on the shaft to be sure there's no dirt that gets down this hole in the gearbox. And then it's also a good practice to wipe the actual square drive shaft in too, make sure it don't have any debris on it. But the next step for the tiller is we'll take it, and you'll just slide it up on the end of the shaft like this. Now, something you need to make sure to do is, see, the tiller went on, but it did not engage the drive shaft in the weed eater. So what you'll want to do is turn the wheel slightly to where we can see it engage the drive shaft on the weed eater. It should slide on up. And it just engaged the drive shaft. So you can see now that it's turning the clutch on the weed eater. You can watch it turn the drum. So now that it's fully engaged, take our little star-shaped wrench again. It's got two screws here. Turn them clockwise. Now, I like to alternate back and forth between the top and the bottom screw. Don't tighten one all at once because you risk cracking or warping the aluminum gear head. Just kind of tighten it in a sequence, go back and forth. So now that's good and tight. Now we'll slide the guard down at the end, and it's got a screw clamp here on the back side. Same deal with it. We'll turn it clockwise until it's tight so it cannot move. Now it's good and tight, and now you're set up and you're ready to go. Something else on these, they do make, this is the pick style tines. I've never had a problem with these tines before. Now they do make a bolo tine if you need those, but if you ever have to change out, you know, new tines or bolo tines, it's easy to do. You'll just pull your clip off. And these right here are washers I put on it. It didn't come with these, but I put those on there because it takes up a little bit of the end play. You don't want it absolutely tight where it just cannot move. You need a little bit of end play, but this took up the majority of it, which is a good thing in my opinion. But then once the washer and the clip's out of the way, you'll slide the outer tine off. You see it's got the hub like this. And then you'll just slide the inner one off right behind it. Got the bigger hub there on the back. And it's simple to do. And you've got right here, the axle has a flat side on it, as does the hub has a flat side machined into it, so you can only turn it, you know, one way. So you'll just go to put this back on, line the flat edge up, slide it on. Same with this one. Turn the flat edge, line it up, slide it on there, and put your little washers back over it. And put the clip on, and you're good to go. But it's really simple. It's a really simple thing there that Stihl makes. It's really handy, as is any of their attachments, like the saw attachment. I mean, that's really good if you've got like a lot of high tree limbs to reach. You couldn't normally reach with a chainsaw. This gets you a little farther up into the tree. Works really good for things like that. But they just make a variety of attachments to make your weed eater more versatile, more useful. But that's just a little video on doing how to change attachments on that. It's pretty simple to do, and it's a pretty good investment. If you got a good weed eater, it's a good investment to have.